Shalom Yeshua, when the start of us always by giving all praise to Yahweh, Hashem Shai. Double honors to the apostles of GMS, and honors to you brothers that are doing the work in truth, war, sincerity. Now on this one I'm going to be answering the question, how to survive the coming famine. And we'll start by going basically looking through some famines that have been past, and we'll go into exactly what happens when you when your body is starving. I'm just going to try go through it quickly in the interest of time, right? And it's lucky my fan is just making a bit of noise at the moment. So it starts off with the Jiabiangu labor camp. I want to point out is the dates that these things are happening. So this is first one is 1957 to 61. I'm just going to read the bit where it says cannibalism spreads. It says by 1961, 2,500 of the 3,000 prisoners had died. The 500 people that survived were forced to cannibalize the dead. This is Jamestown. This is when them damn devils went over there to the Americas, man. It's basically it says the colonists were forced to rely on trade with the Indians for food. However, after a series of conflicts with the Powhatan, the trade ended. And it basically goes on to say how they basically ended up resorting to cannibalism. These damn notes says hundreds of colonists experienced a horrible death and only 60 people of the original 500 remained. In 1610, with the Great Famine of 1315 to 17, the Siege of Leningrad once again. This is in 1941. This is just Slovakia. This is literally just the other day, man. So this is nothing, too, you can imagine this was, like I said, this wasn't that long ago, right? Then you got another one here. It says after all the women. Let me read. It says according to the old book of Tang, after the food in Su Hang Yang had run out, people traded their children to eat and cooked bodies of the dead. Zhang Chun recognized the dire situation, so he murdered his aide and offered her body up for food. At first the soldiers refused, but they soon consumed the flesh and started to eat every woman in the city. After all the women were consumed, the soldiers started to prey on old and young males. In total, the Book of Tang estimates that 20 to 30,000 people were cannibalized. These aren't small numbers, man. And it also goes to show you, man, that these bitches like to think that they're at some position, but they're gonna find out real soon, that they're just women. And then you got another famine here in 19. It says in response, North Korea couldn't produce enough food, and they experienced a massive famine between 94 and 98 that killed between 250,000 and 3.5 million people. The food shortage was extremely hard for women and small children. Once again, you women are gonna find out the hard way that you ain't shit, that you're just women, right? Then you've got another one here near Ukraine, 1930-32. It says it caused 3.5 million, between 3 and 5 million deaths, according to Kiev Appellation Court. The famine was responsible for 10 million deaths and 3.9 million victims and 6.1 million birth defects. Okay, so basically it's saying this is a total of the death there, right? Yeah, then you got the Povilius famine, however you say that. Once again, famine killed an estimated 5 to 10 million. These, like I said, these aren't small numbers, man. And you got the Great Chinese Famine. Alright, so, that's, like it says, the cannibalism during the famine has been described as being on a scale unprecedented in the history of the 20th century. And what's a common feature in all of the post-apocalyptic movies that you see? Cannibalism. Because for instance, if you're in a city like London only has a supply for food for 3 days. but London has a supply of 10 million bodies. You see that when the food runs out, the people become the food. It happened before in history, and it's going to happen again. And later on, I will answer the question of how you survive. This coming, what do you call it? This coming famine. Because all of the plagues that the Lord is going to send this time around, are literally going to be, and excuse the pun, of biblical proportions. There's going to be mass death on the streets, mass genocide, even of the nation of Israel. Hey, only a third of Israel is going to be saved. So imagine what's going to happen to all these heathens, man. Ultimately, we need some slaves to build up our kingdom, so. But I want to carry on. It says the human body can go without oxygen for 5-10 minutes and about 3 to 8 days without water, but remarkably, people have been known to live upwards of 70 days without food. It says 0 to 6 hours after eating. Soon after eating, our bodies start to break down glycogen to produce glucose, etc., etc., etc. 72 hours onwards. So apparently, it's at 72 hours when things start becoming critical. Because basically, I'm just gonna, in the interest of time, I'm just gonna basically summarize what happens. Basically, your brain is selfish. So basically, during starvation, your body will start eating basically other parts of your body until there's nothing left to eat. So, and what you're most likely to die of is basically a condition where your muscles have wasted away so much that your heart muscles is a bit messed up, and you can't, you die of cardiac arrest, cardiac arrhythmia, right? So starving is the most humbling way to go. A shot to the head, that's mercy, but starving, that's a painful way to go, while your body slowly eats you. And it basically gets to a point where, when we want somewhere in the article, I'll post the links, Lord willing, I remember, but basically, or somewhere in this article, it's basically talking about how your body, that it's actually, a lot of people die from illness because with starvation comes a weakened immune system. And what else is Esau going to be planning to do while he's doing this? He's going to be during the time that's come, is going to be releasing pathogens. Now, if you've got a decent immune system, you may be able to deal with some of them, but he's engineered them in such a way that the majority won't be able to deal with them. And plus people's diets aren't good anyway. But if you haven't eaten, that's going to kill you. Which I found from my personal experience. Family member had cancer, and from my analysis of it, the person died from starvation more than anything else, man. Because drugs there, man, stop you from being able to eat and all of that good stuff, man. Says, and just to go back to say, this has happened before. And the scripture, Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, just keeps coming out. Those things that have happened before are going to happen again. Yeah. So Deuteronomy 28:53 says, and thou shalt eat the fruit of thy own body, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which the Lord thy power hath given thee in the siege and in the straitness wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee. It's talking about in 70 AD. Because literally there does come a point where you stop and you think, yo, these kids are just useless eaters, and you know what, they can't defend themselves. And this article here was basically detailing how people would swap children. It says right here, it says some ate their children while others swapped kids so they wouldn't feel bad eating their own. And that happens, man. That's the reality of it, of a famine. You resort to eating your own kids. Jeremiah, the whole book of Jeremiah has a lot to do with famine. This is Jeremiah 19:9. This says, and I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons and the flesh of their daughters, and they shall eat every one of their flesh of his friend in the siege and straitness wherewith their enemies, and they that seek their lives shall straiten them. That's playing into the point. right? And it's just proof that there is a famine coming. It says 2 Ezra 15:5 says, "Behold, saith the Lord, I'll bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction." So you saw the millions of people who were dying here, the millions of people, and this was when the population was only like 2 billion, and this was before you had these major cities. This was before this thing of, if you go into a supermarket right now in the West, you see that the food has come from this place, that place, that place. So a lot of people are gonna die from hunger alone, and a lot of people are gonna resort to cannibalism. Right? It says Sirach 39:29 says, "Fire and hell and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance." Because ultimately, why are these plagues being sent upon the world? And in fact, 2 Ezra 15:6 has the answer. Says, "For wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled." And I believe I've got a scripture here, which, I don't think I do. Oh, yeah, I do. It says, 2 Ezra 16:18 says, "The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment." Right? So, like, again, these things are happening because this kingdom that we're living in is completely wicked, and it has to go out in the greatest ways ever. When you read how Israel were released from old Egypt, it basically goes in to say how you had 10 plagues that hit Egypt. These plagues were amazing. And basically, if you read throughout the scriptures, it's the Lord that brought thee out of Egypt, because it was such a great deliverance. And what do the scriptures say? The scriptures say, "No more shall it be said, the Lord, Yahweh, that brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, but out of the land of the north." I believe that's Jeremiah the 16th chapter. Because this new deliverance is going to be amazing. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So now to start answering the question, and really and truly, it's easy. To survive the things that are to come, you just have to get right with the Lord and have faith and believe, because that's the only way you're gonna survive. Yeah, you might survive the famine, but you might not survive the race riots, or whichever direction they come. Or you might survive the famine, but you won't survive the nuclear missiles. The only way to survive what's gonna come is to do this work, pray, and have faith that you're one of the elect. Because if you're not, it's peak. It's peak. So this is Job 5:20. It says, "In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword." That's playing into the point. It says Psalms 33:19 says, "To deliver their soul from death, and to keep them alive in famine." Right? I might as well carry on. It says, "Our soul waiteth for the Lord. He is our help and our shield. For our heart shall rejoice in him, because we have trusted in his holy name. Let thy mercy, O Lord, be upon us, according as we hope in thee." And one of the ways that one of the key things, in order for you to be of the elect, is you have to know the name. As it says there, because we have trusted in his holy name. And his name is Yahweh, and as the scriptures say in Acts 4:12, there is no name given among men under heaven where it must be saved, and that name is Yahweh Shai, which the world knows as being Jesus Christ, the Son of the Most High Yahweh. And when you pray saying Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Shai is the mediator. It says Isaiah 65:13 says, "Therefore thus saith the Lord, power. Behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed." I believe it was Elijah or Elisha. Story eludes me at the moment. But he's basically fed by ravens. It was a raven, I believe, it was fed by ravens. And man, when you have faith in the Lord, all things are possible, man. Luke, the first chapter says, "For all things are possible with the Most High." You might be in the middle of a bloody desert. I mean, look what he did when the children of Israel came out of Egypt. Rained manna from heaven. But you might be in the middle of a desert. You might think, damn, where am I going to get food? And then boom, you just have faith in the Lord. You just pray. And all of a sudden you see a well appears from nowhere. You might think you're hallucinating, you know. But then when you actually go and think, yeah, damn shit. And as the time goes and as we get nearer to the end and when the tribulation starts, that's when people, those who are of the elect, are going to start seeing the miracles of the Most High and start seeing how having faith in the Most High is the only way to go. Because great things are going to start happening. Great evils are going to start coming upon the earth. But also great salvation is going to start coming upon the earth. Lord willing, I'm of the elect, man. We'll be telling stories about this in the kingdom, about the salvation. You'll be saying, man, we were stuck out there, man, hadn't eaten for a couple of days, and then all of a sudden, the Most High did something crazy, and bam, there was food. Just like in Egypt. Those niggas, they was like, oh man, see that Moses brought us out of Egypt so we could starve. And you know what? The Most High basically got manna from heaven. And that's a story that was passed on. So to answer the question, man, the only way to survive the famine which is coming, is to get right with the Lord and hope you're of the elect, and pray and have faith, and to know the name and call upon the name of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. So of that I'm going to say Shalom.